League of Legends is a game that is based on past experiences. It's very hard sometimes to just see a play and be like, okay, you have to do this and this, because there's some experience or some knowledge that is lacking, right? If we're talking about items, if we're talking about champion interactions, or where you should be on the map, all that stuff. But some things that are in your control is last setting. So that's always a big point that I will be making.
Yes.
And we're gonna focus on that. And then paired with that is a lower amount of death. All the champions you play right now, on average, you're dying more than you're getting kills. And more deaths also goes hand in hand with lower farm.
Okay, so most likely my farm should be around, like that number should be around 8 and 9.
Well, that's like a goal set, right? I'm not saying right now that I expect.
Yes,
where
yes,
the
but
level you're at
that would
Yes.
be good. Okay.
Yes, that
okay.
would be the point where I want you to start striving towards. And we can set some benchmarks for that. So, for example, what we have is I can set a 10-minute benchmark, right? So, lighting phase.
Hab ihn gefragt, ist geil,
If
ne?
you
Ja.
have,
Nimmt alles mit, Chat, nimmt alles mit. Nimmt
let's
alles
say
mit.
35 at
Yes.
minute 10, then you're doing good. And if you have 80 at minute 10, you're doing, right, this is like very good. And if you have 85 plus at minute 10, you're doing amazing. You're genuinely doing everything you're supposed to do. Sub 75, I'm not gonna be like, it's bad, but this is a great like foundation to start working from the laning phase.
Okay.
Then one question I would have, and this is probably going to be different from game to game, but perhaps you can think back and spot some patterns. Do you feel like most of your deaths are in the laning phase or are in the mid to late? Or is it just dependent on the game?
I think it's like in the middle or end. Like if I get the lead, sometimes I'm overextending also. Like, you know, I get T1. I port back, get my item, get maybe half a next item. And then I'm watching the map, and sometimes I'm so focused, then I get punished by 3 people on top lane. And the problem is, sometimes I don't watch the map and we don't get anything from that. So a lot of other coaches told me I have to watch what they're doing on the map. And sometimes I try to get, like, for example, I play Ilaoi. 4 people are on me. And like on silver, the people don't start Baron, they don't get T2 in mid, they don't take bottom lane anything. And sometimes I'm overextending, and then I get like stupid 2 or 3
Makes
deaths.
sense,
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Okay, and then I remember you saying one thing, you feel like you get ganked often in the early lane, or you mentioned dying in the early lane.
Yeah, like it's getting better because like also like from your videos or like coaches told me the timers from junglers, like it's 3:15 full clear. Most of the time it's longer for my elo. Sometimes they're ganking earlier, but like right now I'm most likely watching the wave state. Depends also on the matchup. Sometimes I'm preparing ganks, like freezing the wave with 4 minions and stuff. But if I get ganked early, or if I don't trade good and I get ganked, then most of the time I'm losing my lane because I'm playing from behind. That's also a big issue for me.
100%. So there is a statement that I will make. I don't know if you've ever heard me say it, but it's the statement that I'll be making very often. That is, your first 4 waves in top lane matter the most. In most of the rest of the laning phase is going to be a result of how those first 4 waves in top lane went. So based on all you've said, you'd probably agree with that, right?
Yes.
So we're going to really hyper focus on getting you a blueprint on how to basically have a more consistent approach on those first 4 waves, and then we'll expand from that. So I want to mainly dive into the laning phase for most of these VODs, but if you also have a VOD where you win your lane, we can also talk more about mid to lane. So right now I actually can't see it because I think this is Olaf.
Yes.
But this is the things I'm looking at. So basically like a goal of, let's say the structure of approaching first 4 waves. The first thing I do is check my opponent's setup plus, let's say matchup. Check matchup.
Yes.
And scout his summoners, runes, and item start. When possible, you can only do this when you see him, right?
Yes.
Then check the 2v2 topside early. And see if we can get an early ward. And then the last question is, and this is basically what it all leads to, can we play for priority level 1? Now, this is going to be a bit like controversial to how you're probably playing right now, but very often how you want to approach those early game wave states in top lane are going to be around your matchup in the first place, but second of all, and very important, also around the jungle pathing.
Yes.
So dependent,
You mean the jungle tracking where the jungle starts? Or...
Exactly.
Okay.
And there are going to be multiple scenarios where I'm sure we're going to have some examples of. So here we can't see Olaf's setup, but I see a ghost, so I assume he's playing Flash Ghost, and then Conqueror Inspiration or Conqueror Resolve, and then we have Mundo Viego. Now, of course, you also get an experience from this, but what I would say is that Mundo is a very weak early game jungler in skirmishes, Viego is a little bit stronger, and Olaf and Seth are both very strong in the early game, right?
Yes.
So we have some information here. You've opted for a Doran Shield. It's a little bit more of a passive setup, but that's completely fine. You get more sustain.
Most likely I'm starting with that because, I don't know, I feel safer. Like maybe if I play against Nasus or other laners who are weak early, I play the Blade, but otherwise I go for Shield all the time.
Okay, that's totally sensible, and I think that's completely fine. I completely get where you're getting from.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that I would like to add is what I look for every game, if I can, is to try and get a ward down on their early starting position. So we're gonna have 2 ways for Seth to enter into their topside jungle to get a ward on blue side. So we're blue side right now, right? This is the blue side position. You can either get a ward through going for this route or a ward through this route. Now, Seth against Olaf, I would say that Olaf beats you in the extended fight simply because he's also super strong level 1. So I already wouldn't want to take this route.
Mm-hmm.
Against a, let's say you're playing into like a Nasus or a Kayle with the examples you mentioned, you are more than free to walk through this route and see if you can either get a trait. If no trait, you look for a ward in the early game.
Okay.
And else you can opt. It's not mandatory to look for a ward either here or here. And the main purpose of getting this ward done is to see where enemy jungle is starting, especially if we want to look for priority in the early game.
Okay.
So, painting a picture, let's see, we put a ward down right here.
Yes.
And we see the Viego is starting here.
Yes.
What's very often going to happen is that he's going to be pathing into the bot side, right? Into a full clear.
Yes.
And that already means that in the early game, we have a lot more opportunity to play aggressive because we don't have to be scared of gang tires by this Viego because we know his starting position.
But how do you know if he's not like cheese ganking on level 2 or 3?
Good question. Those have timers too. And the thing is, let's say we see a ward here, we have a ward here, and we know starting rep buff, and then he's going to Krugs after very often, right?
Yes.
If he then goes rep buff, Krugs, Raptors, the most standard play would be for him to go to Wolves afterwards, right?
Yes.
You said you jungled a little bit as well. If he then has to go from Raptors all the way to top, which you refer to as the cheese gang, your main job is literally to survive. This can happen, but they are pretty rare instances. Okay. And if you're more scared of that, then I would ward this.
Okay.
But coming back to that point, is this ward is good mostly when you want to play for priority.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say your goal in the matchup, because remember, that's the question we're leading towards, right? Is can we play for priority level 1? Because that's the scouting we do through this. If you decide I don't need to play for priority level 1, this ward pretty much helps out your teammates, but you don't necessarily need it as you can't get early ganked anyways because you're looking to get pushed in.
Okay.
So I would just make your decision level 1. Do I want to make, because you can already decide right now if you want to play for priority or not, right? You're playing Seth. I would argue that he's amongst, let's say, like top 5 strongest level 1 champions.
Yes.
Because you basically have 2 abilities because of your passive, right? You always do 2 auto attacks. There's very few champions that can deal with you in the early game. You can kill all of level 1 as well if you go W start, but I don't want to go too in depth on that.
So who's like just for me, who's strong? I think Tryndamere.
Tryndamere probably is a good one.
Just for me to know.
Yeah, you even beat Warwick with the W full on in. Darius, you could beat.
Sure?
I've played the matchup against Warwick. If you have D-Blade and Ignite and you go W start, you beat him,
okay, with
you
Ignite
do have to land the W.
Okay.
But you don't have to go like these limit testing.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I know, but it's good for me. It's good to know for me so I can change something. Like right now, I'm only playing, or most likely 99% I'm playing with TP. But I also want to adjust and also want to play Ignite and one day so I can maybe be a stronger top laner to get.
Look for kills.
Yes.
Yeah, with the setup, what it screams to me kind of is you're more so playing your lane right now to go even instead of playing to win. I think that's an accurate statement, right?
Yes.
And
I
believe
try
it's-
to int. I just try to
Exactly.
maybe get kills and look for good TP for Drake. Maybe Baron side laning. That's like more.
Okay, I don't like that. That's too
Okay.
far.
Okay.
Because we did establish like the first 4 waves are most important for our laning phase, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
So
yes.
I think you deciding your rune to like have potential dragon plays, I think is faulty. But the idea, so you're kind of playing a champion right now, as in set, that wants to win lane. Your
Yes.
champion kind of is built to win lane. Right? You're a stat check heavy champion, you want to build lane. Now, I don't think it's faulty to have the mindset right now and getting more used to the game that you want to play more so to, yeah, you're kind of playing to not lose instead of playing to win. But that's fine, you're more so new to the game, you're getting the hang of it, but you definitely do want to try and switch it around. For example, if you go Doran's Blade and Ignite, this guy is to be super careful for you in the early game.
Okay.
And so it kind of switches the way you want to play. But that's all good. Back to this point. So, if you can invade this bush right here, tiny detail as well, I would prefer to do it at around 110. The reason we do that this timer is because then the minions have already spawned, and if you were to trade with your opponent, they cannot really recall anymore. If and else, you just walk in, you get your ward down, and you look for priority. Otherwise, if you're too scared of this, what you could do is go through this pathing, right? They have a Cassio Viego, they can't really stop you, then you can get a ward down right here or here. And then by process of elimination, you always know where enemy jungle is starting. Because let's say you have a ward here, right?
Yes.
If you don't see him starting there, that obviously means he's starting here.
Yes.
Um,
Is the ward long enough so I can see him pathing to the red, or is it just
usually
expire?
not.
Okay.
Yeah, unless they do a fast clear to top, the ward will expire.
Okay.
But that still gives you plenty enough of information, right? Because then you have a pretty accurate understanding where the jungler's at. And then lastly, on the red side, it's very similar. Usually I take this route. If they're defending, I don't look for it. If they're not defending, I put the ward right here, and I have the same idea.
Okay.
And what I want to get towards now is the concept of strong side, weak side. Are you at all familiar with these terms?
I just hear it already, but I'm not pretty sure like when I'm the strong side and when I'm the weak side.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it and make it simplified, because if we go to too much theory, you're gonna start second guessing every step you make.
Okay.
The baseline is, let's say we're painting a jungle right now. This is where Viego starts,
Yes.
and this is where Mundo starts.
Yes.
In the early game, Mundo is pathing like this, and Viego very often is pathing like this, right?
Yes.
This means you are strong side. Now, why is that? Because in the early game, your jungler will be coming towards top side, and enemy jungler will be bot side.
Okay.
That makes sense, right?
Yes, makes sense.
Now, the follow-up to that is, if you are strong side, that is also kind of going to change how you want to be playing in the laning phase. In the sense that, if you are strong-sided and you lose half your HP, but Olaf also loses half his HP, you benefit because your jungler is top side. So he can look to punish that.
Okay.
Similarly, right, if you are weak-sided, but you're still playing as if you're strong-sided, then you open yourself up to ganks.
Ah, I see. Okay. So, right now I'm the strong side and bottom is weak side. But if both junglers are pathing to the top,
Very good question. Then we call it neutral, and it's dependent on
traits.
execution. And of course, yeah, the traits.
Okay.
But if you then have priority, for example, and you're at level 4 and they're ganking you, and your jungler's there too, then you probably win.
Okay.
So now we get to the point, remember at the very start where I mentioned you want to play your wave states around the matchup, right?
Yes.
So I asked myself, level 1 priority, yes or no? But then the second step to that is I also want to play the wave states depending on how the junglers are pathing.
Okay.
So there's kind of a harmony to be had here.
Yes.
So I split it up in like a second wave crash, a third wave crash, and a fourth wave crash. I won't go super in depth on all of these, because then in the next hour I'm going to be talking about scenarios here without really having any visual examples.
Yes.
The baseline is this. If you can look for priority in the early game, but you're scared of getting ganked, either level 3 or level 4 gank, you can always look for the wave 2 crash, because this is the fastest way to basically make the wave bounce back into you.
Yes.
So let's say Mundo's pathing like this, you're playing into this matchup, you're able to get priority, but enemy jungle is coming into top side, you do a second wave crash, the wave will bounce back into you. That means you're not forced to walk up for last hits. Whenever you're not forced to walk up for last hits, you can farm for free.
Yes.
That's it.
That's
Wave 3 crash.
I just
that's
had one question because of that crashes. Like I got that's also a problem for me. That's also talking told me. I'm trying sometimes to get the, like you said, the wave under the tower so it bounce back, right?
Yes, sir.
And sometimes I feel like I got a priority and try that, but like my wave is stacking in front of the tower. You know what I mean? Like it's like.
I know exactly what you mean.
And then I'm
certain...
fucked, and he's level 4 and I'm level 3. And I'm just
Yeah.
waiting there for my wave. And that's like the worst wave state. And like I got priority, but after that, like my whole priority is gone.
I'm certain we'll get to that scenario, but I'll also tell you exactly how to fix that permanently for yourself.
Okay.
I can tell it to you right now, but I have no visual example because we'd have to be there. But basically what you do is, whilst you're laning here, right?
That's so krass,
you're deciding if you should slow push or hard push the wave that's here right now.
Yes.
What you always do is you take a look at your mini-map and you check where your next wave is at.
Yes.
Because that's also where enemy next wave is at.
Yes, that I'm trying that, yes.
Okay, good. So then you already have the habit, now it's a matter of implementing it.
Okay.
So that's good then. What else? I was yapping about the early game crashes. I won't go too in-depth on that, because I feel like we've gotten all theory right now. Thus far, do you feel like it's been it's been pretty logical, right?
Yeah, that's good. It's also the what. Like I want to try that because like I just saw it in your videos, but I never tried it myself. Like I'm just like you said, I'm trying to get priority. Maybe sometimes I try to freeze it, and then I just go in the river and ward there like at minute 2:30 or 3 minutes, so I know if the jungler's coming. But like I think it's way more better, like you said, if I know, and it's for my team even better, if I know if the jungler is starting red side or blue side, and if he's jungling to the top or to the bot lane.
Yeah, perfect. Because all you have to do is get that ward down and just verify where is he starting. That's all you need, right? Because the thing is, you're gonna have to focus on so many things at once right now. Ultimately, all these like fundamentals are gonna be played out in harmony, right? That's the goal. You want to be able to track the junglers whilst playing to your level up timers and knowing which crash to do and setting up your reset timers, all this stuff, right? It's going to be a lot while still playing your matchup and trading and all that good stuff. So just the baseline right now of what I want you to do is, if you can, get the ward down, and just verify for yourself where the jungler's pathing.
Is it better to go like from the tri-bush on the top, or like where Ari is standing? Like what's her pathing?
I would prefer to go into this bush if I'm allowed to level 1.
Okay.
Because you can also get the potential to early trade with your opponent.
Okay, how often you can do that? But most likely, if they're good, they're just covering it, don't they?
Yeah, but then they'll be walking away, because if I see a set walking into me level 1, I'm dipping, because set beats almost every champion level 1, right?
Okay.
And if they're, I don't know, on Facebook something, then, I mean, you're chilling.
Okay.
And then also one reminder, let's say you trade with them here, you might not have enough time to walk all the way here, so you ward either this, or you just ward this push. Okay. But you'll figure it out for yourself as well, on what feels good and what doesn't feel good.
Yes.
Actually, I'm gonna go dive in some more theory.
Okay.
Are you at all familiar with how to track junglers? I don't want to go super in depth on it.
Like I tried it a bit, but like I think if I can do that, I would be way higher in my elo, because like I wouldn't get ganked that much. Like yes.
It's 3 steps. First step. Okay, no, that's the number 3. First step is the ward. That's it. Yes. Because we want to know what position he's starting in, right? So we just need the ward, either here or here. Yes. Or here, rather. Then the second step is it's counting CS. It sounds very complicated.
No, I did that already. When like I said, I just jungled a lot. I also got jungle coaching, but at one point.
Do you know how much farm every camp gives?
I think at the end, like I just know if he's full cleared, it's 28, I guess. I hope I'm right.
There you go. Yes, that's a full clear. Yes. That means 7 camps, because every camp in the game, even dragons, give 4 CS. I think grubs give 2 each, so grub's the only exception, but a herald would give 4. So if you take a rep off, it's 4 CS, Crux is 4 CS, a Gromp is also 4 CS. Okay. So if he's taken 3 camps, and a scuttle, that is 28. Okay. So, and that's the third habit, every time you see a jungler on the map, you press tab. And you check his CS.
Okay, I see. But you do it like only in the early or in the mid game, because then you have to calculate.
No, mid game it doesn't matter anymore, right? Because we're playing a completely different game at that point. Okay. But in the early game, it's very linear, because if we verify that he starts here, and then he ganks bot at 3:30 with 28 CS. Yes. What's he gonna do after the recall?
He's coming to top again because he wants to clear it and maybe throw a gank. Yes.
and then he ganks mid with 36 CS. You know exactly everything he's done.
Okay.
Because 28 plus 2 camps against 36, you know exactly what he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also know he's going to be going here next. Now, this sounds super simplistic, and in a way it is, but these are habits that you have to start ingraining to become more so into your autopilot system, right?
Yes.
Because it's going to be a lot of things, like, there's so many actions happening in League of Legends, so eventually you'll ingrain this, but these are kind of the steps that you want to build in order to start tracking the junglers.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, theory, level up timers. Are you familiar with the timers on which you level up? Because they are consistent every game, and there's very few things that are consistent in League every game.
Yeah, I know them. Like the seventh melee, I guess. The for
Sorry?
level 2.
So level 2 is what? 6 CS plus 1 melee, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One iteration to that. Do you know it's also 5 CS plus 1 melee? As in 3 melees, 2 casters, and 1 melee, and this is because melee give more XP than caster. One example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Also this level 3. If it's not there right now, you don't know it, and that's completely fine because I've coached master players and didn't know, so don't feel ashamed.
Okay.
First 2 waves,
Yes.
plus 2 melee. Very important. This is good for you to memorize because, especially a champion like Set, if you play actively with your cooldowns to a level up timer, that will result in solo kills so often. Incredibly often. And then level 4, it's not too important anymore. It's first 3 waves plus 3 melee and 1 caster, but even this is still important to memorize because I'll probably see in this game how these level up timers matter. And from here on out, it's going to be different. And I usually keep it till here because this is all you kind of need to know.
Okay.
All right, boss. We've talked a whole session about the theories far. Let's get into the first wave state, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Everything is clear?
Yes. Like you said, my last sets are completely bullshit, but you would see it.
Okay, that's but yeah, that was the foundation before all that.